voice. Move by the light, make a choice. Listen to my voice. I got something to say.
This is your Resolve to Read Daily Reading. It's April 16th, and we're reading from the books of 2 Samuel and 1 Chronicles. During the reign of David, there was a famine for 3 successive years. So David sought the face of Yahuwah. Yahuwah said, "It is on account of Saul and his blood-stained house. It is because he put the Gibeonites to death." The king summoned the Gibeonites and spoke to them. Now, the Gibeonites were not a part of Israel, but were survivors of the Amorites. The Israelites had sworn to spare them, but Saul, in his zeal for Israel and Judah, had tried to annihilate them. David asked the Gibeonites, "What shall I do for you? How shall I make amends so that you will bless Yahuwah's inheritance?" The Gibeonites answered him, "We have no right to demand silver or gold from Saul or his family, nor do we have the right to put anyone in Israel to death." "What do you want me to do for you?" David asked. They answered the king, "As for the man who destroyed us and plotted against us so that we have been decimated and have no place anywhere in Israel, let 7 of his male descendants be given to us to be killed and exposed before Yahuwah at Gibeah of Saul, Yahuwah's chosen one." So the king said, "I will give them to you." The king spared Mephibosheth, son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, because of the oath before Yahuwah between David and Jonathan, son of Saul. But the king took Armoni and Mephibosheth, the 2 sons of Aiah's daughter, Rizpah, whom she had borne to Saul, together with the 5 sons of Saul's daughter, Merab, whom she had borne to Adriel, son of Barzillai, the Maholathite. He handed them over to the Gibeonites, who killed and exposed them on a hill before Yahuwah. All 7 of them fell together. They were put to death during the first days of the harvest, just as the barley harvest was beginning. Rizpah, daughter of Aiah, took sackcloth and spread it out for herself on a rock. From the beginning of the harvest till the rain poured down from the heavens on the bodies, she did not let the birds of the air touch them by day or the wild animals by night. When David was told what Aiah's daughter Rizpah, Saul's concubine, had done, he went and took the bones of Saul and his son Jonathan from the citizens of Jabesh-Gilead. They had taken them secretly from the public square at Beth-shan, where the Philistines had hung them after they struck Saul down on Gilboa. David brought the bones of Saul and his son Jonathan from there, and the bones of those who had been killed and exposed were gathered up. They buried the bones of Saul and his son Jonathan in the tomb of Saul's father Kish at Zelah in Benjamin, and did everything the king commanded. After that, God answered prayer in behalf of the land. Satan rose up against Israel and incited David to take a census of Israel. So David said to Joab and the commander of the troops, "Go and count the Israelites from Beersheba to Dan. Then report back to me, so that I may know how many there are." But Joab replied, "May Yahuwah multiply his troops 100 times over. My lord the king, are they not all my lord's subjects? Why does my lord want to do this? Why should he bring guilt on Israel?" The king's word, however, overruled Joab and the army commanders, so they left the presence of the king to enroll the fighting men of Israel. After crossing the Jordan, they camped near Aroer, south of the town in the gorge, and they went through Gad and on to Jazer. They went to Gilead and the region of Tatim Hodshai, and on to Dan Ja'an, and around toward Sidon. Then they went toward the fortress of Tyre and all the towns of the Hivites and Canaanites. Finally, they went on to Beersheba in the Negev of Judah. After they had gone through the entire land, they came back to Jerusalem at the end of 9 months and 20 days. Joab reported the number of the fighting men to David. In all Israel, there were 1,100,000 men who could handle a sword, including 470,000 in Judah. But Joab did not include Levi and Benjamin in the numbering, because the king's command was repulsive to him. This command was also evil in the sight of God, so he punished Israel. Then David said to God, I have sinned greatly by doing this. Now I beg you, take away the guilt of your servant. I have done a very foolish thing." Yahuwah said to Gad, David's seer, "Go tell David, this is what Yahuwah says. I am giving you 3 options. Choose one of them for me to carry out against you." So David went to David and said to him, "This is what Yahuwah says. Take your choice. 3 years of famine, 3 months of being swept away before your enemies, with their swords overtaking you, or 3 days of the sword of Yahuwah, days of plague in the land, with the angel of Yahuwah ravaging every part of Israel. Now then, decide how I should answer the one who sent me." David said to Gad, "I am in deep distress. Let me fall into the hands of Yahuwah, for his mercy is very great, but do not let me fall into the hands of men." So Yahuwah sent a plague on Israel, and 70,000 men of Israel fell dead. And God sent an angel to destroy Jerusalem. But as the angel was doing so, Yahuwah saw it and was grieved because of the calamity, and said to the angel who was destroying the people, "Enough, withdraw your hand." The angel of Yahuwah was then standing at the threshing floor of Araunah the Jebusite. David looked up and saw the angel of Yahuwah standing between heaven and earth, with a drawn sword in his hand extended over Jerusalem. Then David and the elders, clothed in sackcloth, fell face down. David said to God, "Was it not I who ordered the fighting men to be counted? I am the one who has sinned and done wrong. These are but sheep. What have they done? O Yahuwah, my God, let your hand fall upon me and my family, but do not let this plague remain on your people." Then the angel of Yahuwah ordered Gad to tell David to go up and build an altar to Yahuwah on the threshing floor of Araunah the Jebusite. So David went up in obedience to the word that Gad had spoken in the name of Yahuwah. While Araunah was threshing wheat, he turned and saw the angel. His 4 sons who were with him hid themselves. Then David approached, and when Araunah looked and saw him, he left the threshing floor and bowed down before David, with his face to the ground. David said to him, "Let me have the site of your threshing floor, so I can build an altar to Yahuwah, that the plague on the people may be stopped. Sell it to me at the full price." Araunah said to David, "Take it. Let my lord the king do whatever pleases him. Look, I will give the oxen for the burnt offering, the threshing sledges for the wood, and the wheat for the grain offering. I will give all this." But King David replied to Araunah, "No, I insist on paying the full price. I will not take for Yahuwah what is yours, or sacrifice a burnt offering that costs me nothing." So David paid Araunah 600 shekels of gold for the site. David built an altar to Yahuwah there and sacrificed burnt offerings and fellowship offerings. He called on Yahuwah, and Yahuwah answered him with fire from heaven on the altar of burnt offering. Then Yahuwah spoke to the angel, and he put his sword back into its sheath. At that time, when David saw that Yahuwah had answered him on the threshing floor of Araunah the Jebusite, he offered sacrifices there. The tabernacle of Yahuwah, which Moses had made in the desert, and the altar of burnt offering were at that time on the high place at Gibeon. But David could not go before it to inquire of God, because he was afraid of the sword of the angel of Yahuwah. Then David said, "The house of Yahuwah God is to be here, and also the altar of burnt offering for Israel." So David gave orders to assemble the aliens living in Israel, and from among them he appointed stone cutters to prepare dressed stone for building the house of God. He provided a large amount of iron to make nails for the doors of the gateways, and for the fittings, and more bronze than could be weighed. He also provided more cedar logs than could be counted, for the Sidonians and Tyrians had brought large numbers of them to David. David said, "My son Solomon is young and inexperienced, and the house to be built for Yahuwah should be of great magnificence and fame and splendor in the sight of all the nations. Therefore I will make preparations for it." So David made extensive preparations before his death. Then he called for his son Solomon and charged him to build a house for Yahuwah, the God of Israel. David said to Solomon, "My son, I had it in my heart to build a house for the name of Yahuwah my God. But this word of Yahuwah came to me. You have shed much blood and have fought many wars. You are not to build a house for my name because you have shed much blood on the earth in my sight. But you will have a son who will be a man of peace and rest, and I will give him rest from all his enemies on every side. His name will be Solomon, and I will grant Israel peace and quiet during his reign. He is the one who will build a house for my name. He will be my son, and I will be his father. And I will establish the throne of his kingdom over Israel forever. Now, my son, Yahuwah be with you, and may you have success and build the house of Yahuwah your God, as he said you would. May Yahuwah give you discretion and understanding when he puts you in command over Israel, so that you may keep the law of Yahuwah your God. Then you will have success if you are careful to observe the decrees and laws that Yahuwah gave Moses for Israel. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged. I have taken great pains to provide for the temple of Yahuwah 100,000 talents of gold, 1,000,000 talents of silver, quantities of bronze and iron too great to be weighed, and wood and stone, and you may add to them. You have many workmen, stonecutters, masons, and carpenters, as well as men skilled in every kind of work in gold and silver, bronze and iron, craftsmen beyond number. Now, begin the work, and Yahuwah be with you." Then David ordered all the leaders of Israel to help his son Solomon. He said to them, "Is not Yahuwah your God with you? And has he not granted you rest on every side? For he has handed the inhabitants of the land over to me, and the land is subject to Yahuwah and to his people. Now, devote your heart and soul to seeking Yahuwah your God. Begin to build the sanctuary of Yahuwah God, so that you may bring the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah and the sacred articles belonging to God into the temple that will be built for the name of Yahuwah." A psalm, a song, for the dedication of the Temple of David. I will exalt you, O Yahuwah, for you lifted me out of the depths, and you did not let my enemies gloat over me. O Yahuwah, my God, I called to you for help, and you healed me. O Yahuwah, you brought me up from the grave. You spared me from going down into the pit. Sing to Yahuwah, you saints of his. Praise his holy name. For his anger lasts only a moment, but his favor lasts a lifetime. Weeping may remain for a night, but rejoicing comes in the morning. When I felt secure, I said, I will never be shaken. O Yahuwah, when you favored me, you made my mountain stand firm. But when you hid your face, I was dismayed. To you, O Yahuwah, I called. To the Lord I cried for mercy. What gain is there in my destruction, in my going down to the pit? Will the dust praise you? Will it proclaim your faithfulness? Hear, O Yahuwah, and be merciful to me. O Yahuwah, be my help. You turned my wailing into dancing. You removed my sackcloth and clothed me with joy, that my heart may sing to you and not be silent. O Yahuwah, my God, I will give you thanks forever. This is the word of Yahuwah. Thanks be to God.